Let me pull that up. Hmm. Sometimes I just don't know about.
They're always improving
Okay,
systems, so you can't figure out how to use them.
that's right. All right, so let me.
Heather, I saw your note. I think that's a good idea we'll put that on the agenda as well. Heather asked if we could talk about the role, what we need to respond to people who were requesting information about candidate forums and what
Yep.
is our role.
Yep.
Yep.
Good idea.
Kate, are you gonna, or Sarah, you're calling the meeting to order right
Yep,
now, and
I'm
then
calling the meeting to order.
perfect. Um, do you want to approve the meeting minutes, or do you want to wait until I don't know how many we've put it off a couple of meetings, so I don't know if everyone's had time to look at it or not.
I forgot.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Can we make that, let's make that a thing that we're gonna promise to all do. We're gonna review all the meeting minutes before the next monthly meeting and approve in one fell swoop.
All of them.
Is that okay? And they're all in the Dropbox, right?
Mhm.
If it makes it easier, let me know and I'll make a PDF of the entire batch and send that to everybody. Let me know if you want that.
I think it's actually easier for me to do it in chunks. I get weighed
Okay.
down when things are too long to read.
Okay.
Perfect.
Jessica, if there is, I know you have so much. Can you send us just a list of all the dates we need to look at so that we got a checklist or something?
I can get all that to you.
That would be so great. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm sorry that I'm like behind on that. I know I promised and promised.
No, no, no. This is the historical part. Like we want to have the record for
It's
down the road.
important.
And the videos are all online, so anybody can go back and look at any of the videos from the meetings.
That's a very good thing.
Yeah.
So on the preparations for the town election, we were talking a little bit before the meeting started about the recruitment for the election judges and member of the Board of Election Appeals. And so we have utilized, so I did the direct outreach last month and we got two of our previous election judges and we have a couple of the members of the Board of Election Appeals, but we still have several vacancies. Like we really need a couple more election judges. And I haven't had any responses from the regular folks. I did think about putting it on the agenda for the mayor and council meeting next week and just again say to them, we really need help getting these election judges.
Right.
There's so much happening right now. Like everybody is overwhelmed. There's a ton of information that we're sharing at the same time. So it's like, I know we'll get the election judges, but I just think we maybe need to look at other ways. And I thought of if anybody's on like the Nextdoor app, if I know there's some different groups in town, if you could share it there too. Just anything, just saying, hey, we're looking for election judges, or we will pay you to spend the day, but we have to make sure they know that it's like early voting and training and the election day too. So I'm trying to be really clear on that. So nobody gets surprised.
And I think we also need to be clear that during that day, you're not on your phone and you can't do work. You have to,
Yeah.
you get to focus on just the moment. You don't have to think about the big wide world. You get to just be in the moment.
That'll be really, really nice to just focus on that, honestly.
Well,
I did want to say something that's causing, I know we've talked about this a few times, but I'll be honest, it's causing me a little bit of anxiety and stress is the town hall building is not ready yet. And so I just, it has to be ready by May the 5th. I mean, May the 4th rather, there's just no other option for that. But I'm not sure about our meeting on the 27th where we review candidate packets. My thought was to just open up the lobby and just put a couple tables in the lobby. We won't go into the council chambers. We'll just, that way people can view it if they wanted to, if the public was there, they could see the process. But I don't know what else to do. If I'm told that we can't meet there, I can try the elementary school. They've been really great. But I'm not gonna know until we get
Yeah.
closer to. So, I did just want to make you aware of that.
Thank you.
I don't have any candidate packets yet. That was something we talked about also. There's not a lot of discussion. We're hearing a little bit here and there. I do want everyone to look at the procedures for writing candidates. We did this last year or 2 years ago too, but let's just be very prepared in case we don't have candidates in some of the
Right.
wards.
And what we did last year, or the last election, was if we believed in good faith that the person was trying to write someone's name, if they spelled it wrong, if they wrote Mary versus Maria versus, but the last name was the same, or, they added a Z
Right.
and it was an S, we took it as this is what the intent of the person was, because otherwise we would have had to have a special election.
Yeah. No, we
So
don't
just
want to
make
do
sure
that.
you guys had
Yeah.
those procedures like internally on
Right.
the election day. So whatever you've done in the past, just make
Right.
sure you have that discussion and you're just ready. I mean, it happens. We do have people do write-in write-in campaigns. It can happen that way. Um, I don't know, did you have to hand count all those ballots where there was a write-in, or how
Yeah.
did that work? Okay, so you just
Yeah.
did those by hand. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, it really wasn't that big a deal because there really weren't that many. And it was just kind of like looking for the ones that had something else written in them and pulling them out
Right.
and then counting them.
Yeah.
Most of them there were very.
That's not
I
hard.
think that we had one word with no candidate, so the write-in was the only.
Yeah.
I think that's okay. Okay, so just making sure if there's any questions you have about that process, just make sure you are thinking about that now. We can ask the town attorney, or we can ask our colleagues in other jurisdictions, like how they're handling that. Just if you have any thoughts about that, I think that's probably something we should get prepared for.
Yeah.
We won't know until next Thursday, but I literally have had nobody call to make an appointment.
Yeah.
So I just don't know what to expect being a week out.
Yep. Well, I'm hoping that people have been downloading the files and taking them around. I was telling Jessica earlier that nobody has come to my door that I'm aware of to get signatures on petitions. And maybe this weekend, because the weather is supposed to be a little bit less icky, that's a technical term, that people will be out and about looking for signatures from people. That would be good.
Is anybody else hearing at least rumblings that people are running that, I mean, we've heard a couple of things here and there. I did have one incumbent tell me they're putting their packet in the ballot box, which is great, the drop box.
Good.
And then I had an inquiry today from someone who may be interested in running, totally new to the process, which is great. That's really what we want. But Heather or Jahara, are you hearing, has anyone come to your door, or, okay, so Heather's nodding, so.
Yeah, no one's come to my door, but I know of 2 people who are running.
Good. Okay. That gives me like some peace. Like, you always wonder, you want to make sure people are hearing the information, they're seeing it. There's so much happening right now. We've got the county executive race going on. We have all the stuff happening at the federal level. So good. That makes me feel a lot better. So
Yeah.
we'll have a process. And then when we meet next time, when we know what candidates we have, we'll have to look at the number of ballots we need to order. That'll change this year too, because
Yeah.
the turnout will likely be a little bit higher because there'll be some changes.
Yep.
So the other thing that I had on the list, and is probably the most timely, is the municipal survey. So this year it's all electronic, which, I like to think that's progress at the county level. So it's like a Google form that I have to fill in that basically talks about when the books close and, when our elections, are we doing early voting, where's the polling place, things like that. The every year, every 2 years, we talk about the closing of the books. So the official closing of the polls or the register, if you will, the rolls, I guess it is, the voter rolls. That's determined by the county. It has to be 30 days out because they have to print the voter registration, voter activity cards. So that date will depend on what the county tells us. If they still need 30 days, which seems kind of crazy, but it is what they require. We'll
Yeah.
go ahead. That's the only date that changes. Everything else is already set. The candidate filing deadline, the last day for registrations, which is the date I was telling you about, the closing of the voter rolls, that's all determined by the county. So I think for the most part, we can move forward with that. Kate, you did a good review of the street files list. You didn't see
that was what you
anything
wanted,
that
right? And
wasn't.
yes, I checked
Yeah.
to make sure that all the changes were made and shown. And then after that, I
Yep.
kind of spot checked. I can go through and do a line by line if you think that that's what I should do. It will not take
The
long.
main Okay. Yeah, if you can do that, I think
I
that would
will
be
do that.
great. That's the main thing, is just making sure that there weren't many changes after
Right. Well,
the
those, there
yeah.
were so few that I remembered all of them and I remembered what happened and how it came out. So that was a good sign. But yes, I have the paper right here already printed out. And my old proofreading skills are not totally dead yet. So
Perfect.
I can do that. I have rulers. I can do that.
That's how I like to do it too. I get
Me
the
too.
ruler out and
Yes.
we're going to do all of the things. Um,
I'm
okay.
phenomenally bad at all of that, and so I'm very, very pleased to let Kate manage it and support her in her endeavors.
That's
Me-
perfect.
Give me 3 numbers and I will get one wrong.
There we go.
Well, I just want to make sure that we get back to I already responded to the county saying, hey, we are definitely having an election and we'll get you the forms. So if we could do it, Kate, do you think by Friday we could do it by close of
I
business?
can, yeah, if you need it Friday, that's when you'll have it. How about
Okay,
that?
that'd be great. Like,
I will have it to you. I will get it, I'll do it tomorrow night after work. And I will do exactly what I did the other day is I will scan, it'll be those very same pieces of paper. I will scan them and send them to you. Okay?
perfect. I think that would be really helpful. And
Yeah,
then that'll be one major thing off of our list.
right.
I did sign the contract with Electech already. I did that last week.
Good.
I'll have to do a deposit sometime this week. And the quantities for the ballots are all based on what we did last year. So the price might fluctuate a little bit is what I'm trying to say. That's not really that big of a deal. And we don't know yet how many mail-in ballots we'll be doing. I did want to say I've gotten 4 applications so far, and it's still pretty early. I mean, we're still in February, so I thought that was great. That means
Good.
people have received them and they're town criers. So
Good. And they
that's
want
all.
to vote.
And they're aware of the
Yes.
election and they're engaged. Wonderful.
Right.
Yes.
Great.
And that does make me very happy. So we do have things are happening. It's just taking a little bit of time to get moving because there's so much going on. So the Electac, I think those are really the main updates I had. I did share earlier that we did have one of our staff members has been out for 3, almost 4 weeks. So I've been a little behind trying to keep my head above water, but we are doing, we have been putting out regular information on, you've seen it in Constant Contact and our status and information report, the criers. We posted the election notices, but I found that there was a typo in the hours for early voting. And this wasn't something that you guys could have picked up. What the mayor and council authorized in the ordinance was 2 to 6. And for some reason I had in my mind, it was 3 to 7. So we've gone through, taken down the notices, put new ones up. We have plenty of time to make sure everybody knows that early voting is 2 to 6, but just out of abundance of caution, I just went ahead and pulled all the notices down and sent out new ones. And so we should be fine with that. Everything else was perfect. So that's been done. The election notices are up in each ward. The next phase is going to be, I do have some businesses we identified in 2023 where there's a lot of foot traffic. So like 7-Eleven, we have McDonald's, some of the businesses in town center, our Mega Mart. So on all sides of town, we try to ask the businesses to put up just the flyer that has the general election information on it in English and in Spanish. So that'll happen this week too. So all the notices went to the multifamilies already. New notices will go out this week too that have the 2 to 6 early voting. And then the notices will go out also to the businesses. And so hopefully you'll start seeing those things around town. That's just another way to get the word out. Clearly people see the information about the election. We may not hear from them, but I did get an inquiry today, like I said, about someone who's interested in running for office. So we have a pop-up on the website that says deadline approaching. Everything that we're pushing out now is that the deadline is coming up for the candidate filing. Then we'll switch to completely voter education after this. So we'll notify folks like we usually do about who the candidates are, and then we'll be pushing get out to vote, get out to vote, get out to vote kind of things. I did mention earlier that we're going to do one special edition right now of our constant contact email that will be all election related. I'd like to lead with like the candidate filing deadline, but we'll also have the request for election judges, information about the mail-in ballots, all of the things that you're seeing in other places, just all pulled together in one location. So we'll do one right before the candidate filing deadline. And then as we move further to closer to election day, we'll do more voting oriented pushes that way too. I have not had contact with the elementary school, but I'm hoping to do that this week to just send a reminder about our the election coming up and voting and all of that good stuff.
Did you get a chance to connect with the art people over there about the sticker contest?
So I have not. My goal was to have our person who's doing communications pull some stuff together, but he's out. He should be back next week, so we can focus on that. So I'm still hoping that we can launch it and get it going.
Let me know if I can help.
Yeah, that would be great. I think really just helping with the grassroots type of getting the word out about the election right now and the need for election judges is going to be really important. Like we've already done the regular outreach and we still haven't gotten, and I've done direct outreach to like the election judges and people who've helped us in the past. And people are just, there's so much happening. I think that just so much going on in the world right now. So we just don't have a whole lot of a response to things. But as we get closer, you know, I think the focus will be past the county executive special election. Hopefully things will calm down a little bit. So we should be okay. I think we talked a little bit about voter outreach. The farmers market is tomorrow. It is snowy, but I didn't know if there was anyone available to just go out and talk with people, not do any sort of necessarily voter registration. It's a little too cold for that right now. But any flyers that could be handed out. Yeah, it's hard
work.
Yeah. Okay.
It's all like, I know I always say that, but
I will be able
I'm
to at some
sorry.
point have staff help with some of this, but I just don't have staff right now to be able
Right,
to somebody
right.
out there. So does anyone think we haven't done, or is there any gap in the outreach related to the candidate filing deadline? This is always the one we don't know about until people turn their packets in. I don't have a good feel for whether we're going to have enough candidates.
This is always the case. They always wait until the last minute and then we always get enough. And so we just kind of have to hold our breath a little bit and assume that it's going to be okay. That's all we can do. And until we get more information on the website about what the jobs are too, And, you know, like what the response, you know, you're expected to have this many hours and you get paid this amount of money. People aren't gonna know what they're running for anyway. It's kind of, unless you are already
Right,
keyed in, then there's no way of knowing.
right.
And so that was the inquiry today. So the question was like, you know, what to expect hours wise. And I was able to like link them to like our meeting schedule for the entire term and tell them like, it's all basic information that, you know, the meetings are usually twice a month, 2 to 3 hours. I mean, it's public information that we have, how much the elected officials are paid. So I was able to like pull that information over. So those who are interested are definitely getting the information. They're just asking, but you always have people who just don't know who to ask. So that's what I'm a little concerned about. The only thing that I did hear from the person that was interested today, they said it was hard to find the information on our website. I know that's been a complaint just in general about the website. We are going to work, we're going out to bid for that in a few months, but we can't do it right now while we've got the election going on. So that should be better in, you know, the next time we have an election.
And hopefully we can have some descriptions. Like, what
Yeah,
is,
some more information.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, that's on our long-term. I mean, that was one of our great ideas last time that we just didn't get the bandwidth to do. And
Yeah.
we need to, so Sarah and I are gonna pinky swear and everybody else is gonna help out and we'll just write, here we go. And, you know, maybe we could get something together this time.
Yeah. We do have to do and we could talk about this more on election day, but we do have to redo the election manual, the
Mhm.
procedures and stuff. And so
Yeah,
I think we'll be better prepared for that.
yep,
The other positive thing is, so when town hall is open again, we will have a whole new AV system, which is going to be something that I think will make things a little more interactive. So people can join meetings in person or online, and it shouldn't be, people should at least have more of an opportunity, I think, to kind of understand how the process works. But I know not everybody likes to sit through, you know, 3-hour meetings, you know, twice a month, but you know, we'll see. Maybe we can come up with like a greatest clips type thing, like little
right,
clips of the different things that
right.
the council does.
um,
Go
Jessica,
ahead, Karen. Or Karen,
okay.
or Heather, sorry.
yeah, before we move on, I just want to go back to the outreach tracking document. So my operating assumption is that we're waiting on doing that outreach until after the candidate filing deadline, and then we'll start putting out information about the election. Am I thinking about that in the right way? Is
Yeah, I think so.
that everyone else's assumption?
Yeah,
I think our focus, and this can tie a little bit to the candidate forum discussion, is like our focus is really on the voter education component, and like that's what when I went back and reviewed the charter, that was the main thing that I see so much of, is that we need to focus, we as in the royal we, the board needs to focus on the voter education component. And so it's hard to do that until you know who's running. That we've seen that before, that voters just aren't engaged when there's not a lot of change. So I'm hoping that, I mean, we already know we're going to have at least change at the mayor's position. There's going to be change there. So I'm hoping that'll generate some excitement, and people will be more receptive to the voter outreach type stuff. But we've talked about a lot of things like your QR code, Heather. I'm 100% with you on that. I don't have somebody to do that piece of it right now, but we will.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was wondering, whether that's like, should I draft a, like, half page flyer? I could make a QR code like that. That stuff isn't super hard to do. I'll have a little bit more free time in like 2 weeks-ish. So once we get past the candidate filing deadline, I will also have a little bit more time and space. That's stuff
Perfect.
that I can create. I just want to make sure that I'm thinking about that. Like, I don't think that we're behind on that, but I also want us to be able to move in March and be able to put that stuff out.
I agree. Does anybody else have any concerns or thoughts about that?
I
Because
mean, I'm happy to send a draft. I'm not going to like make something and just go. I'll send a draft out to folks,
Oh,
but
do it. Yeah.
but I'm happy to take responsibility for that.
Carte blanche, do what you
Yeah.
will. I'm really interested in having a place on the website where candidates can put statements. Is that something we might be able to do, Jessica?
Yeah, so I don't know that we can do it this time around, but we've talked about this in a variety of ways. I don't know how to get there. So the candidate forum discussion was kind of prompted a whole lot of discussion internally, like, what is the town's role? What is the board's role in working with the candidates?
Yeah.
And so I think as long as we have like an even playing field for everybody, so if we have it as part of like the candidate packet that we give people, or I don't think we can require it, but we can give people like a format or, however many words you want and what it should be. So as long as everybody it's an even playing field, I think
Yeah.
we are out of politics and it's more of like an educational component. But when I did hear, I never heard back from the city of College Park, but they've got a lot of other things they're dealing with too.
Yeah.
What I remember when we talked about this before was in general that the role of the town and the board by extension and the green team by extension, because they're all parts of the town as a whole, that you kind of stay out of that other entities can come in and do the candidate activities, but that political arena is not where the town should be or necessarily where the board will be. I don't disagree that other people we can find a way to do it, but I think traditionally that's not been what's done and not what's done in other jurisdictions. So I know that in talking with the town manager in the city of Hagerstown, the League of Women Voters came in and did that. So maybe what we need to do and I don't know if it's again, a royal we as a town need
What
to
about
find.
what about reaching out to somebody like CASA and seeing if they would be willing to host something? And that would also tie into a large group of people that we're trying to reach in any case.
Yeah, and I think that I I mean, I know at some point in 2023 we had another group that did some sort of literature drop. Heather, do you remember that? Like we had some entity, some other group that had involvement in the voter outreach and engagement piece. It wasn't something the town was involved in. That happened like separately. Do you remember who did that?
Yeah, Casa did that.
Yeah.
Kate and I
Okay.
did that in our personal capacity. Yeah, I mean, the only we could reach out. Someone could reach out to Casa in our personal capacities,
Yep.
right? This is not going to be a high priority for them with everything that is happening in the world right now.
That's very
and my concern about leaning solely on entities that are not connected to the town in some way is that all of the people who are civically engaged in this town are connected to the town via some committee somewhere, right?
Yeah.
We have
Right.
done all of the recruitment possible in order to bring in all of the people who are civically engaged into
Right.
something, or folks who are civically engaged outside of the town aren't interested in getting civically engaged in the town. So it's a little bit of a catch-22 that like if we say this isn't the role of any entity that is connected to the town, then we are by extension prohibiting anyone who has gotten civically engaged through the town from playing an organizing role. And I just don't
Right.
know how many more people we have. So
Right.
Well, and I think that's a really good point, Heather. I'm sorry not to interrupt what you were saying. Like no, I hear what you're saying. I'm sure this is not unique to Riverdale Park.
sure,
Um,
it's just we have fewer people than like
yeah,
Hagerstown can pull in the
of
League of Women
course.
Voters.
Right.
League of Women Voters is not going to come and do a candidate forum in a town of 7,000 people.
Yeah.
No. No. And the town of Chevy Chase, which is even smaller than we are, has, I think in the past, maybe not had candidate forums, but they have absolutely posted pictures and statements from all of their candidates for their board of managers or whatever they call it. And I don't object to having the town sponsor statements, we'll give you a space. But the website is an impediment right now. And, so that should be the next time. And the town crier, I don't remember, it feels like sometime a real long time ago, the town crier might have published statements from candidates. But I couldn't swear to that. And I would think that that would be okay too.
Yeah.
That,
So
you
the
know.
town crier, before my time was, the editor for the town crier was not always a staff member. That's a recent history type thing.
Right,
And so when I went back and I was looking through some of the code sections related to the town crier, there were things, there were references to letters to the editor. That was a really big thing, back in
Yeah.
the day, it seems like. And so we could structure it within, that capacity that people do it. The problem comes in when we don't have full participation from the
right,
candidates.
right.
And so, I thought about that because we had our Valentine's Day event on Friday at Crescent Cities. And the staff at Crescent Cities are like, we love the voting, we love that the board comes out, but they don't know who they're voting for because the candidates don't come. And we know that, like, well, this is something we've talked about the last couple of years. So I've been just trying to think of how we could encourage, that component, as well as
Yeah,
the
right.
we have the petition component, but once that petition is filed, like, I'm not really sure what the candidate activities are after that. We did
Yeah.
have, I think it was I think when Heather said during the special election, we did have a forum that was put together kind of like grassroots by groups of residents, and that worked out well. But Heather's point is really valid in that we don't really have, we're too small to attract some of these outside groups. And we don't have people who aren't already involved in like one component or
Right.
another of town government. So I do think we should explore this a little bit more. The response from the city of Hyattsville was very much like, okay, hands off, it's something outside, but they are much larger than we are as well. So we
Well,
can't,
they have a really complicated council
they do.
system. It's,
They do, and I think we need to be asking that question of folks from municipalities that are a similar size that
Agreed.
aren't gonna,
Right.
League of Women Voters, League of Conservation Voters, like some of the normal sort of civic engagement groups that often do candidate forums are, we're just not gonna be on their radar. So I think, trying to find some of the folks, talking to Mount Rainier is going to be more helpful probably than talking
Yeah.
to a College Park or a Hyattsville.
And it doesn't help us right this second,
No.
and I feel like I've been saying this for so long, but when town hall is open again,
it's gonna be great.
It's going to be great. It is going to be great. But we do need to have that. I really think we've started out on this networking component with our other neighboring jurisdictions and other boards of elections. And this is maybe a topic for discussion because I think it's a sensitive thing for all boards. But we also recognize that there is a voter education component to it as well. So you got the components that are a little bit like red zones, if you will, like making sure everybody it's fair and making sure we don't have any major issues in just the implementation of it. But then you have the component that we all agree that people don't get engaged until they really know who's running for office. And so that's a really important part of our process. So even this discussion we could have with the council at some point too. Our goal is to get as many people as possible involved in this process all around, candidates, voters, everybody.
So it sounds like we're not necessarily going to solve this problem as a function of the town for this election cycle. I mean, if I'm hearing that wrong, you should correct me. But so I guess my question then is if the position of the town is that a candidate forum is outside the scope of the Board of Elections, which I personally disagree with because I think that it is a voter education tool, but I'll let that go. If that is the position of the town, then I can't imagine that the town can't govern whether like Laura and I in our personal capacities outside of official roles with town committees go and organize a candidate. I'm not volunteering myself for this. I don't particularly want to organize a candidate forum, but
Yeah.
insofar as like I could respond to Laura to say, hey, in your personal capacity, outside of the green team, outside of the sustainability committee, in your personal capacity, you could organize this. And in fact, if you wanted to get together one person from multiple town committees in their personal capacities to organize something, because those are the folks who people in the town listen to, you're welcome to do that in your personal capacity. I can't imagine that the town can restrict that, right?
And I think that's what happened the last time. That there were folks that came together in their personal capacity. It can't be under the umbrella of the Town of Riverdale Park Green Team. And I think as a Board of Elections, what Terry brought up, you have to be really careful in how you navigate that. Because as an entity, this is non-political, right? Like our focus is on process.
Yeah,
And
I think the place where it would be a flag, if I worked for the town, the place where it would be a flag for me, or if I was on the council, would be if like I pulled Jahira and Sarah together, and the three of us in our personal capacities
right,
organize a candidate forum, but it is 3/4 of the Board of Election. Like
correct.
that's sort of one of those like, okay, what are you trying to do here? But if like three people who are not on committees together, not on, town entities together decide in their personal capacity, that seems like something that is not under town governance.
Yeah, I mean, it's separate. It's not on a town platform. It's not in a
Yeah.
town building. It's not supported in any way by town staff or elected officials or, board members in any way, shape, or form. Board members as in committee members, I guess,
Yep.
on the variety of things. So I think it would just have to be probably for members of the Board of Elections, I think it's probably more sensitive. But it happened before in whatever year we had the special election, that was a group of residents. I mean, I think a homeowners association could put it on. I think, there are other civic groups, if you will, within the town that may be able to do that. It just can't be the town government, if you will. And I don't, I've kind of went back and forth with all of this, just personally how I feel about the importance of that voter education component, but like professionally, from everything I have ever heard, it's been the town or the municipal entity is not involved in this component. It's kind of a thing that another group brings together or it happens naturally. But I don't know that for a fact. That's just what I seem to recall from working with other clerks and things of that nature. But we probably need to find out a little bit more on how this happens in other jurisdictions.
I would be interested in learning about how the town can support an outside entity doing this in that, like, yes, you can use this building just like any other, like if I came and said to the town, I want to do an education about, water pollution, can I use the facility? That kind of thing. I don't know what the town standpoint, what the town stance would be on that. But if this is a group of town citizens getting together to educate other town citizens, can the town support that? Independent of it being what they're talking about, as long as everyone is given a chance to talk.
So
You know what
you
I mean?
also have to remember though that and this is something we talk about and this is why we
Yeah.
try not to do the election judges and the Board of Elections appointments. I mean, there is a benefit, if you will, to being the incumbent. And
Yeah.
so you are all appointed by the incumbents, and so are all the members of the board, all the
Yep.
boards, committees throughout. And so that creates this imbalance, if you will. And so we have to kind of overcome that. And so that I think is part of the concern in general. You also have that component of not letting the incumbents electioneer. Like, we intentionally do not hold certain things during the election season, so it can't be seen as the incumbents electioneering. So I know I'm kind of focusing on that aspect of it, but we don't have a history of having a lot of unknown people come into our political process. And so that's an uphill battle when you have a group of people
That's
who've been doing it over and over again.
that's to me why it's really important when we get candidate statements,
Yeah.
get statements out there and get and create forums, because right now it's impossible for anybody. Like, if I wanted to run for mayor, I would have to literally go door to door. There's no other way for me to learn about the community and for the community to learn about me. And I would, it would be wonderful if we could at least have people put, 200 or 400 words somewhere so that people can go, oh, this is who I'm voting for and what's their, rather than just checking a box.
Yeah. And on the other hand, we do have folks who have been in this process for a very long time, and they put out their own money and they put out their own statements and create their own websites. And so where do we draw that line, and what is the role for the board? I'm not really sure. I don't have all the answers to this in any way, shape, or form. I only know I went back to the charter specifically, and then I hear what Heather's saying too, because I also was like, well, you could see this as voter education, but in my experience, most of the boards deal with the voter and the process. Like, that is the focus of the board, is the process, and the voter engagement is like the extra stuff, getting more people involved. But there is a component of that as far as getting more candidates involved too, and we haven't tapped into that.
It just
Quite
feels to
yet.
me that part of voter education is helping the voters know who they're voting for and what they do. And so that's, and I don't know how to me, if you get it creates a more level playing field if you give everyone access to the same resources. Like,
Yeah.
and so if I'm independently wealthy and I can make a website and I can hire kids to go out and put out my things, right now I have there's no, my advantage is is immeasurable. While if we can create something that is zero cost and is a place where people, I don't know. Or maybe it's that we need to find a third party organization that can create a website that hosts the candidates' opinions, and
But isn't that
somehow,
some of it is the responsibility of the candidate too,
yeah,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And so we have to figure out where that balance is. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong if we make part, and we talked about this before, but having a candidate statement as part of the candidate packet,
Right.
finding a way to make that like a regular process. It would be new this year. We've been introduced a lot of new things, especially with the earlier candidate filing deadline. So in 2 years' time, when people are a little bit more acclimated, we might be able to introduce that in a little bit
Right.
cleaner. My concern would be in introducing anything new now, once we've started the process, might be a bit problematic. But we were in thinking about going back to the Crescent Cities situation. We have the staff at Crescent City saying, like, we want the candidates to come, but the board can't force the candidates to do what they're supposed to do, or what we quote think would be the right thing to do, right? That's where I think we have to figure that out. But I do hear what Heather's saying, and I do hear, Sarah, what you're saying too. Is there a different role for the board? I think we need to explore that. And we can do things differently. We don't have to do the things that everybody else does, but we want to make sure we're not embarking on something that kind of disrupts the apple cart, if you will.
Okay.
So I think we
Agreed.
need to
I'm
explore it.
I'm pro disrupting the apple cart. I'm
Yeah.
not pro politicizing the Board of Election. Like I don't want to
Right.
do something that would be interpreted by a candidate, by a voter, by a non-voter. I don't want to do something that compromises the integrity of the board or compromises the process. I'm very pro overturning the apple cart
Yeah.
because I mean, that's part of what we're charged with is that elections have not been super engaging in the town, and we actually do want to upset that
Right.
apple cart. So I am
In that regard.
interested in hearing what other municipalities our size are doing. I would not take that as gospel or as like something that's binding on us if there are different ways that we can do it.
Absolutely. And I hear what you're saying too. Yes, and I agree as far as upsetting the apple cart. Like we don't want to keep the status quo, right? That's why the board was created. But because the board is so new, we want to make sure as we're moving forward that we aren't compromising that impartiality of the board. So I think more public discussion about it. Let's do some research. I mean, just like we did when we went through and changed the candidate or the timeline for the election, we asked and we got more information and we figured out like ways that we could navigate that. We don't have to do everything that everyone else does, but there's no reason to also reinvent the wheel when other folks have done it and seen success or, encountered challenges too. So I think for now we need to figure out, how to this election has already started, so we can't make a whole lot of changes now. Hopefully there will be people in the community who are interested in hosting these things. These things happen relatively naturally before. We did have folks that were engaged and wanted to have this and they made it happen. It just wasn't sponsored per se by the town.
It would be interesting if we could get the high school student government involved in hosting a candidate forum.
I
That
would
would be
love
so
that.
cool.
I think there's a lot of different things that can be done. And honestly, when the first email came out, Heather, my heart was like, I don't even know if town hall is going to be open like in a few weeks. So there's just so many other things happening. But eventually this is going to be an easier process, not just with town hall being open, but eventually this won't be as much, weight to be carried. It'll be an easier process as time goes on.
Agreed. And it will be easier to have candidate forums when we have a lot of candidates.
At some point this is going to change, and I'm not saying
I
just
hope so.
it will change. I mean, the world is changing, the community changes. I mean, we will see this. And I feel like we're preparing for it in our own ways, like trying to make sure we have all of our process and
Yeah.
procedure down. And I think there will be a time where we have to address it. Now it's coming up and we have some time to talk about it and figure out ways to address it. But there's a lot of questions that I think we still have to get answered. Anything else on this topic though, while we were talking about it? Jahara, did you have anything you wanted to say about the candidate forums?
No, I'm with Heather. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with Heather. I think our town's because our town is so small and quaint, people who would be the ones doing this are already doing it. And
Yeah, we're
so
here.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense to, yeah, that's why when I was responding to Terry, I was just like, are there ways that we can be co-sponsors or just how are we? And I totally get where she's coming from, but there's something about the role that we play that allows us to do something like this. So I'm with Heather.
Like what you said about that, like, is there some middle ground here that isn't, and there may be. There very
Yeah.
well may be.
Yeah. I'm a big both and kind of girly. So I I don't necessarily want it to be a hard no if it doesn't have to be, considering the makeup and identity of our town. And so I think if there a way that we can kind of carve our own identity out that makes sense for us, like knowing what we know and kind of figuring out what makes sense and kind of doing our best to keep things impartial and open, I think that we should do that. But also acknowledging kind of the limitations of our town and kind of who is here to step up and do and create opportunities like this. But I've been listening. I know I'm walking around. I'm doing a lot of things, but I'm here listening the whole time.
No, we appreciate it. Yeah, so I do think timing is a big thing too, and introducing something, too far into the process. I don't know that it's too far in. I just wonder if this is not the year necessarily to do this without some more research and more discussion, and just see what other jurisdictions do. But I think what everyone's saying is we'd like to do something where it gives the candidates a really even playing field. Everybody has the same opportunity, but it also gives residents the opportunity to learn about the candidates in a way that's not that's kind of balanced, right? So you're hearing from everybody, all at the same time, and we'll have to work towards that.
And now we have the time. Before we didn't have the time. And now that was the whole point of doing all the work to get the charter and the code changed, which was a heavy lift, although Jessica did most of it.
But that's one thing I keep thinking about those areas. Like, it's almost like this is a all the time thing anymore. Because as soon as we finish this election, we want to dive
start
into
on
those
next one.
things. That candidate component that we want to look into. How do we do it? How do other jurisdictions do it? We've got to update the election manual. So, I was like, oh, at some point this will slow down, but we still have another at least year or two more of work, foundational work. So, all right, so we talked a little bit about the I voted. I hope to have a better answer for you or more information to you the next time we meet. Chris will be back next week, and we'll have some time to talk about that. And then the outreach to the 16 and 17-year-old voters will happen probably next week as well, or the week after. So that's more the election notice, the letter that we talked about. I do want to have that translated into Spanish too. So it's in English and in Spanish. And then that'll also include the mail-in ballot applications. So that'll all go directly to our 16 and 17-year-old registered voters. And then on Saturday, we do have a community conversation, which is all it's town elections. So I did put together a PowerPoint presentation for the board to consider. I had are we all going to be there, or can everyone be there? Or
I will be there.
You'll be there, Kate. Heather
I
cannot.
will.
Tell me the time. It's 9 to 10.
It's 9:30 to 10:30.
10:30.
1 hour. Yep.
Yeah, and it's at where is it?
It's via Zoom.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, if it's, I can probably join by Zoom. I'm just not in town, but I could join by Zoom.
Oh, great. Perfect. So, and it's 1 hour. We keep it, very scheduled. And so the PowerPoint is in the Dropbox now. I can share it real quick if we want to take a look. It's mostly just on process and important dates is another opportunity to answer questions. The potential candidate that reached out to me today, I encouraged them to come so that we could, if they had any specific questions, we could answer those questions for them. Here we go. And it's just a really simple PowerPoint. We've got the candidate filing deadline. We're leading with that. And then the Board of Elections will meet and the Ethics Commission just to show what the process is on the candidate side. Where can you still get candidate packets? They are here. The deadline to submit a request for a mail-in ballot. Where can you find those? Again, at the bottom. Early voting I have seared into my brain 2 to 6 p.m. since we did have that mistake. I would probably,
Good
I
for
just
you.
look at it a million times. And then ways to register to vote. That's there. And then that will have same day voter registration, and then any questions where people should direct their questions to. And so it's very simple. But the PowerPoint's in the Dropbox. So if anyone wants to change it or add to it, please do. And Sarah or Kate, if either one of you want to lead the PowerPoint, you can download it onto your computer and share it on Saturday.
I vote for Sarah to do that.
Sarah, do you feel good about doing
I'm
that?
fine. I can run through slides in my sleep, so.
Perfect. And if you want to change anything or reformat it, have
Yeah.
at it. I just didn't want to like throw it on everyone like, hey, we need to do a PowerPoint. So at least gives us a draft to start with.
Thank you. And if anybody else in the group has things that you want to bring up and we should have in the PowerPoint, obviously, just let us know.
Oh, Heather, you're making me so happy. A potential candidate. Like I was just so worried. It's when you don't hear anything that's happening, you're just like, oh, please, please.
Do this every time, Jessica. and it
I do.
always works out.
And the town manager said that to me the other day. He's like, he's calms me down. Like he's like, it's going to be fine. And I recognize I do this every 2 years, but I just can't, you don't hear anything. And I'm like, nobody's running for office. And then every position's fine. So
Yeah.
we'll be fine. Then other than that, we are meeting next Thursday, obviously. Have not heard from anybody. If everyone could get there by 5 to town hall in case people want to drop their packets off. So as soon as you can get there, let me know. And we'll go ahead and just set up the tables. We will print out the voter. I think what you like to do last time was like highlight the names, and so we'll do one for each packet, candidate packet, so you can, just
Switch them
check
around.
people off and all of that. And then at 8 o'clock, Ethics Commission will meet.
And don't we normally have 2 people review each candidate packet? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So one person does it and then another person checks it. And
Yeah.
so this
I
may
know.
be a quick process or it might be lengthy depending on how many we have.
And how people write.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is everybody planning to be there? Do we know? Heather's in.
I
Yeah.
can't remember. For some reason, I feel like Terry may not have been able to. Jahari, you'll be there.
Oh,
Perfect.
good. Okay.
Terry, I don't know. Oh, no, maybe
Okay.
it wasn't. She wasn't able to be at this meeting and then she'll be
But she
there.
will be at the
7th.
next one.
Okay.
Okay,
I
good.
hope so.
Okay.
So I'll let you know if anything changes on location.
Okay.
I'm going to go into the office tomorrow, check the ballot box to see if anything was dropped off there. Other than
Okay.
that, I think everything's going to come in next week. I have not gotten any calls about scheduling appointments, but I'll let you know if that does happen because it would be better if we have somebody from the board there to receive the packets. Other than that, I mean, we're kind of in the home stretch. We'll continue to put alerts out and updates on the candidate filing deadline approaching, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
The
Well,
date, when we're reviewing the packets, the Thursday, you said it's from 5 to 8?
Yeah, so the deadline is 5, so I figured we'd start meeting immediately
start at
after that.
5,
So
yeah.
like 5:30-ish is probably when we'll do it. And last year it only took us a couple of hours. We
yeah,
did pretty well.
as I
I'm just
recall.
figuring out
yeah.
my food situation, so.
That is very important. And I literally will, it's like the apocalypse in town hall right now. Like pens, like ink is dried up. It's like things, it's just not even like a workspace. When I was putting the candidate packets together, I was like, it took so
Yeah.
long because the machines aren't used to doing things in the office. So there won't be a lot of frills if we're able to do it at town hall. But I'll let you know one way or another.
Okay.
Excellent.
You'll at least get like a sneak peek of
Okay.
what the
If
building-
not, tell Mr. Lingo we'll just do it at his house.
John said we could put a tent up. I said, it's very cold. We're not going to
Oh,
sit out
yeah.
in front of town. What are you kidding me? No,
No.
no.
Well,
We
maybe we
could
could
all-
get the railroad. Maybe we
Yeah.
could get the Mark
The
stop.
train
The
station.
mark stop, we could all fit in there with a couple of tables. I mean, what the
We
heck?
could. We could. I don't know. Kate probably remembers. Maybe Sarah, you do too. The Boys and Girls Club has been like renovated now, and so
Oh, yeah, right.
it's pretty nice on the inside. I thought, well, I mean, I guess that's another option too. We do have Wi-Fi there, so that is a plus. So we'll figure it out. It's going to be fine. It's just a matter.
We're gonna make this work,
We are going to
whether we want to or not.
Yes, we will.
It's
So,
gonna be fine.
any other questions about election preparation? Anything I'm missing?
Now, when is our meeting after that? Is March?
Let's see here. Hold on one second. I can find it.
So we have this Saturday to talk about voter education. And
Yeah.
then we have the next Thursday, a week from tomorrow, to go over the
Right.
packets. And then I
And
think
then-
it's like 3 weeks from there.
March 19th, actually.
Okay, all right.
So at some point we'll have to evaluate
Okay.
whether we need to have like
Yeah.
more frequent meetings. I think
Yeah.
we're doing well circulating things via email, like if there's last minute changes or things that we need
Right.
to correct. I think we've done okay from that.
Right.
Yeah, so let's see what we need to do. I don't want
Okay.
to, we've got a lot of things coming, it's a lot of time to try to put even a limited early voting together. We do have a lot. That's a lot of time for the board because we do the training first, then we have early voting, and then we have another full day the very next day.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yes, it's
we'll
gonna
try to
be,
figure
it's
that out.
hard and we can do hard things.
We
will be
can
fine.
do hard things. That is true.
It's such a good thing to be able to do this. I feel like it's a gift that be able to participate and be able to make the world more like the way I want to see it by encouraging participation.
Yeah.
Right.
In everything. So it's
Okay, and we have our marching orders. I'm gonna
Yeah.
do the streets.
Yeah.
And
and I'll be
did I
this.
say I would do something else?
We're all going to review the meeting minutes.
Oh, right, yes, meeting
And I'll
minutes.
send those over.
Right, thank you. Thank you. If I have a checklist, I can do anything. And I need to start working on that stuff too for the next time.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
well, thank you all. We kept it to about an hour, so it worked out pretty well. And I'll keep you
Right.
posted on anything that comes
Okay.
up. There's been a couple of cool things going on in neighboring jurisdictions, so I'll pass that along as I see
Great.
more. Okay.
Thank
Wonderful.
you very
Have a
much,
wonderful evening,
Jessica.
everybody. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
See
Take
y'all
care.
soon. Okay,
Bye.
bye.